Africa today, commemorating Youth Day. It marks 45 years since Soweto students took to the streets to protest against the use of Afrikaans as a medium of instruction. Certainly one of the big stories that we're tracking for you on this Wednesday morning. So these June 16 commemorations marking these 45 years since the Soweto uprising are taking place around the country today. In fact, preparations are underway at the Hector Pieterson Memorial, where the City of Joburg is hosting a commemorative event. My co-anchor Ayanda Nyathi joins us live from the memorial this morning. Ayanda, of course, these memorial events are planned long in advance. The President's announcement last night, does it put a spanner in the works in any way insofar as how the day's proceedings will go ahead? That's the one issue I suppose I'd like for you to touch on with your guest there at the memorial. And then the other issue is that of the number of young people who were killed on this day 45 years ago. It's so strange to read that that number ranges, we're told, between 176 up to 700 young people.
Let me start with your later question. Good morning to you. Of course, we are live to you from the Hector Pieterson Memorial. And yeah, Michelle, I guess that kind of points to just how we are yet to really quantify the cost of what it took to get this country to where it is. It is against that backdrop that I think many people will be hard-pressed to get real material change in the life and the plight of young people in this country. The disparity you've just pointed out speaks to how even today there are still so many unanswered questions about what took place 45 years ago in 1976 on this day in a place like where we're at now. You speak about the President's announcement yesterday. It goes without saying that it will definitely have some kind of impact on how things are going to unfold today. What kind of impact that might be? Well, let's bring in our guest, get you a sense of what that looks like. Prince Dube is the curator here at the Hector Pieterson Memorial. Baba, thanks very much for making time to chat to us on Newzroom Afrika. Perhaps let's start with an issue you and I have been ventilating off air. The President's announcement yesterday couldn't necessarily have been preempted, but it's definitely going to have an impact on how things unfold today.
Good morning, and thank you very much for the opportunity. Yes, the President spoke at a time when all the preparations had been done to host these two events. Today we are hosting the mayoral relaying here at the Hector Pieterson Memorial. We also have our own programs that are going on. For instance, last Saturday we had a Children's Day here. Fortunately, we had about 100 kids. And then next Saturday again, we are going to have a Youth Day, which was planned for this place again. We were also planning to have again 100 kids, 100 young people attending the event. We're not sure if that one is going to go ahead or not. But this one today is going to go ahead, although it might be affected by the numbers. As the President has said, we must have at least 100 people.
Absolutely. I'm seeing some of the construction that's still taking place. The tents, the chairs are still being put down. I imagine that's going to be top of mind as we do that. But let's speak about the symbolism of the monument on a day like this. It almost feels like all of the attention comes here once a year. But of course, a structure like this is significant and important, especially for youth, at every time of the year.
Yes, we've got a museum on the other side of the monument, which is opened throughout the year. The monument is also open to public. People come here 7 days a week, some taking pictures, some praying, some just trying to remember or learn what happened on that day 45 years ago. So we except you guys, the media, but we are here throughout the year. And the significance of the day, especially today, is just for us to remember and look back at the demands of the young people during that time and see if we've been able to meet them. Not necessarily the question of language, but almost all the aspects that affect our youth in the country. Have we been able to make them happy or not?
And let me throw that question right back at you. I mean, are you happy with how many young people are engaging with a monument like this and the museum adjacent? And do you feel like those ideals at least are resonating with the young people who do come here.
Yes, young people are visiting the museum and the monument as well. We are happy with the numbers, but we still have to do a lot in terms of educating them about how to translate the activities of that day into today's life.
Absolutely. Very quickly then, of course, a monument like this is not spared the effects of COVID-19. In some ways, I imagine, because not as many people were becoming, there have been impact also on revenue. How high up your list of challenges is something like that?
Yes, the revenue has been affected a lot, but we also don't want to look at the museum as a tourist destination, or we also want to look at the cultural aspect of the institution. How can people benefit from it? Not only the city benefiting through the revenue, getting the money from the entrance fee, but we also want to focus on research, also focus on the cultural aspect of it, more than the tourism part of the museum.
All right. Thank you very much. Prince Dube is the curator here at the Hector Pieterson Memorial. So the museum is, you won't see it, just behind the camera. That's been worked by my colleague Osenzo. And of course, a day like this will be spent really trying to reflect on connecting the dots, as I like to say. How much of what was being fought for in 1976 remains a battle today? And more importantly, how convinced are young people in our dispensation that it is a battle worth waging? Well, the conversation we've just had now is really about the look and feel, the optics, the symbolism of being here. But a lot of those ideological considerations, I imagine, will take place when the City of Johannesburg takes over this program. They are going to be the ones that are leading this wreath-laying ceremony. You can see some of those structures are already up in some respects. And is going to be a moment of, I guess, a lot of reflection. There's going to be a need for a Jeff Makubo, for instance, who is the mayor in the city of Johannesburg, who I imagine is going to be leading that commemoration. He's going to have to work very hard to convince, especially the young people who are watching, that it's not just about the symbol of putting together these beautiful wreaths, but it's also about the material change that can take place in the life of young people. Michelle.
Yeah, absolutely. So twofold there. The issues around whether young people are any better off in South Africa in 2021. And of course, on the flip side of that, those young people who took part in the June 16 protests in 1976, some of them going on to occupy government positions. Themba Maseko comes to mind immediately. Are they, people like that, who were involved in the protests in 1976, are they satisfied with where the country is in 2021 and indeed where the youth is as well? Ayanda Nyathi is there to us live from the Hector Pieterson Memorial, and of course we'll be talking to him throughout this broadcast.